One thing that's an observation, I'm mindful of the time here. But first of all,
Sure.
thank you for this open learning environment. It was so different than I expected, and I'm
Oh, cool.
grateful to
Oh,
have that
conversation.
modeled. I'm like, wow, we can do this. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. My
Um,
pleasure. Thank you.
and it's really nice to see you in person, like mobile, in
I
motion,
know.
to know that
Real
you're real.
humans
I
with
have a
real
face.
humans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Colleen, I knew was for real, but
Yeah.
so the observation that comes up actually on the notion of children and raising and sort of our mesh styles of raising children, your worth is dependent on how much you're serving my beliefs and my assumption as to how life should go, and us being so meshed with our parents early on, especially like in these nuclear family units where we don't have a village around us to reflect and validate beliefs that we might have outside of our parents, right? It becomes even more enmeshed and controlling, I find. But I'm just looking at that pattern and coming from a collectivist society myself, I found that there was no distinction between self worth and self esteem. Like there
Mm,
was, they were one of the same. It's like the value that you are offering to other is actually your sense of value to self. And it's interesting for me because like after the near death that I've talked to Colleen about,
mm.
I've seen the interconnectivity of life, and I find personally I almost get lost in that. And it's not based on this old collectivist narrative. It's more based on, yes, now I have a visceral knowing that I am receiving continually by giving of myself, in that authentic way of giving.
That's the key.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's blurry for me sometimes still.
Yeah, but why I got so excited? I mean, I'm super excited by your whole description of that, and why I got so excited about the last thing you said was is that, and hopefully it was uh, uh, getting this sort of idea across that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Again, to use my corny analogy, whether I had the tea or the water, right? It doesn't really matter, but it's why. So when we're talking about understanding the differentiation, if there even is one, right? I'm not even saying that we're entirely right about this. What I'm saying is, from empirical evidence of application, it seems like it might be useful to maybe differentiate those things. And here's maybe why. Because when we talk about self esteem versus self worth, when we talk about the intermediary of self determinism in that determination, what we're talking about is very much, I think, echoing what you're saying, as in, my best way to gain value in myself and to gain the recognition of my value by other people is by giving. Well, wouldn't it be cool if we could be really confident and certain about what our best self is and how we consistently choose to give it to people, right? Because again, it doesn't really matter what we're giving more than it matters why, right? And we reflect that kind of dynamic in human experience all the time. That's why someone can spend a whole bunch of money on us, right? But in that gift of giving and the material that they're trying to get us to receive, if it's coming from the wrong why, if it's not coming from their best determined, authentic choice of self, we'd be much more satisfied with something way less elaborate and expensive that was coming from the best of them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I love that. I think you again. That's why we tried to keep this to an hour conversation, right?
That worked really well.
And I'm like, man, this topic is so layered. Like we've taught entire courses on this, okay? Because the question is that deep and that compelling. But I'm so amazed and so have enjoyed just wow the depth that we got to as quickly and beautifully as we all did tonight because of all of you and the way you participated.
Mhm.
So thank you, and Ashley, that was great, great commentary. Thanks very much for that.